So, Matt, welcome to the SABM podcast.
Yeah, happy to be here. First podcast ever.
First podcast ever. Awesome, man. Well, congrats on that big achievement. So glad to have you on today. And I know we connected a while back about your concept, and I think it was kind of at the beginning stages at that point, and recently reconnected, and you've been presenting to the investor group, and will be for the next few months. But it's kind of a different type of an opportunity.
Yeah.
So Reunion Baths, that's the name of your company, and maybe just to kick things off, what led you to want to start Reunion Baths?
Yeah, it's definitely it's an interesting business concept and it's a hardcore left turn given my kind of career trajectory. So people are always surprised when I'm like, yeah, I used to be in the military and then I was a software engineer and now I'm doing this. But I basically just very organically fell in love with different spas and bathhouses in New York City and around the world. I'd been to different places around, but never connected the dots. But started going to these spots really in New York. There's a like tradition of different cultures bringing some sort of what we'll call like communal bathing or thermal bathing or a bathhouse or a spa, all the same thing to New York. So there's like Korean spas, Russian bathhouses, all sorts of different, there's Japanese onsen here. And I just started going. Yeah, I initially started going because I was hungover. I was just like going out with friends on Friday night. Yeah, and I just really understood that if I could like sweat it out and then like do a cold plunge, I could like beat my body back into shape for Saturday night and we got to regroup and we're going out again. Um, but from there, kind of like just like started going more with friends one on one to catch up. Didn't necessarily want to drink, but you kind of want to do something. And so I feel like for guys, it's like easy to just like go jump in the sauna. You can sweat, you can chat, and it kind of gets you past the surface level of just, like talking maybe over a restaurant or dinner. Like you can get into some deeper stuff in those spaces. And then I started going by myself because I was stressed out with my tech job. I was flying all over the country and I just like needed a way to reset and manage stress. And it really became a safe space for me. Particularly the one I would go to the most is called the Russian Turkish Baths on 10th Street in the East Village. It's very famous. It's been there for 130 years. So it's probably the most famous bathhouse in America. Um, yeah, it's a unique experience. It's gritty, it's grimy, it's very authentic, very Russian. They are not nice to you.
Do they like snap the towels at you, or like what do you?
Just from the moment you walk in, like they don't care that you're like there. Like,
They don't care. No.
yeah, but like they do on some level, but they're just not nice to you about it. The check-in process is like literally from the year like 1900. It's like you put stuff in a lockbox, they put it behind the counter, they lock it all up.
Hmm.
And that was because back in the day, like gangsters would meet in these places and you'd like take off all your weapons and then you'd go down to the sauna. Everyone's like wearing a towel, so it's no microphones, right? There's no you can go in the steam rooms, no electronics work there. So there's a heritage of that in this place, and they just kind of kept it going for years and years and years. And so yeah, that's the place I'd go to. And I just was sitting in there one day and I was like, this is awesome. I wish there was more of these out there. What would it be like if I owned one? And that was the spark.
And offered a nice customer experience.
And that, yeah, for sure. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I was like, there's some efficiencies to be gained here. But I will say, like, I wouldn't want them to change a single thing they do. Uh,
Yeah.
and this is good timing, fortunate timing. So I've been working with I like befriended the owner of that place a while ago, and we've become friends over the years now. And actually, he's going to invest in my company, and he's advising our operations. So he's super super helpful, and really excited about the one I'm bringing, into the world in Brooklyn. They're in Manhattan. And so as part of it, they had me actually work a shift at the Russian baths just yesterday for the very first time I did this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm working a couple more shifts over the next couple weeks to like learn the ropes. Opening, you check the pH for the pool, you check the sauna temps, you can record all this stuff. They use punch cards for their employees, which is again another ancient technology. And it was kind of cool. It was a full circle moment where I was like, I really love this place. I want to open one. And now I am opening my own. I got to work at theirs. And it's an interesting beast, that one in particular.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. And so, I mean, this is so that facility's been around for over 100 years.
Yeah.
I mean, my bath in my house and my bathroom, like I never used it.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
for, we moved into the house like 8 years ago, and I'm like, oh, I think I want to like start doing cold plunges.
Yeah,
And, I was like, well, I have this tub like that I never use. But
sure.
now I use it at least 2 or 3 times a week, whether it's like for an Epsom salt bath or like a cold plunge or two. And
Really
like, what do
nice.
you think is happening, or what? I mean, so you mentioned this bathhouse, which has been around for a century, right?
Yeah,
It seems
yeah.
like a lot more people these days are kind of interested in that kind of treatment, or
Yeah.
like what's the shift?
I mean, so many things at once. America's converging on like a really big cultural shift right now. Like as much change as we're seeing in the technology world and AI world, there's going to be an equivalent shift in like the way human beings are interacting with each other and what we're spending time doing. It just takes more time for that to happen, right? So like the way we go out and socialize and party 5 years ago, 10 years ago, now is different than what's going to be in 10, 20, and 30 years as a necessity of the different way we live our lives. That's kind of like, like the biggest umbrella. But particularly in the US right now, well, let me start with actually like 2000 years ago. Like this stuff has been around forever. Like thermal bathing, getting really hot, getting really cold, steam, baths. It's just been part of human, genealogy, human DNA forever. And at the most, like at the absolute most basic level, when you think of primates or apes, which we descend from, social animal. They work together. They always go to the pond or the lake together, and they wash together, and they clean each other. So that's actually kind of the level we're working at, like how deeply human this kind of ritual is.
Hmm.
And then throughout the years, ancient Rome did this for 1,000 years, where the baths were a place to meet up, conduct business, hang out, socialize. It was a big part of their social life, but it was also a communal cleansing, right? And then so many other cultures have a version of this. Finland, Russia, Turkey, Japan, Korea, Germany, Norway, Sweden, like there's just a ton of them. And even the Native Americans had versions of this as well. And so it's actually kind of an anomaly that the US doesn't have one. The reason for that is basically like in the 1900s when everyone was immigrating to America, it was so overly crowded in New York and in the cities that there were bathhouses for cleaning, but the sanitation department was like, this is not good enough. We need to like fix this. And they invented the shower. So around
Okay.
1900 is when the shower comes out, the private bathroom comes out. And the bathhouses were so overrun, they just weren't sustainable. So that's when the US was like really starting its population boom. The shower's invented and everyone gets one. So we moved away from like bathing together. Um, and yeah, that's just kind of how we sustain things for about 100 years. But we're at this like tipping point where there's so much technology, people just want like really deep human connection, deep human experiences. At the same time, we have more knowledge on our health. We're trying to be more healthier than ever. Drinking, people are starting to realize it can be pretty damaging. There's a lot of science out about that. And so it's just kind of like the perfect factors all coming together, and the stuff is catching on like wildfire. So you'll probably see sauna cold plunge talked about, from an influencer, health, wellness, longevity person, but also from the social perspective that people can hang out and chat and socialize without needing to drink. So all these things are coming together, and sauna and cold plunge is like your foot in the door. But the bigger vision is that America, like Finland and Russia and Turkey, actually develops its own culture of communal bathing. And that's kind of
Hmm.
what I'm trying to build towards.
Yeah. And so where are you at in the process? How's your, I guess your project coming along, and what's your vision for it?
Yeah, I mean, it's coming along. It's such a journey. It's been really, really fun to just get through it all. But like, there's a lot to do, and I'm near maxed out getting it all done. But we have a lot of momentum. So we signed our lease in June. Um, Well, let me start with this. It costs a lot to build these things. So my total capital stack is 6.5 million just to like get one facility off the ground. It's a 7,600 square foot facility, so it's quite large.
And where is it?
It's in Bushwick, Brooklyn.
Okay.
It's a really cool Brooklyn neighborhood, kind of like the up and coming neighborhood. If you're familiar with New York geography, it's like the next Williamsburg is what people call it. Um, yeah, so I raised 1.5 million last summer as a bit of like a pre-seed. I call it my pre-lease round. So before I had a lease signed, funded the design process, permitting, early permitting, got me the lease as well. And then we signed that lease in June. Now I'm raising a second round of capital. I think 1 million in equity and 4 million in debt. A little bit of flexibility there to get me up to the 6.5 mark. And so that raise is happening now. We're wrapping up design, so we're like 90% done with design. We got our first permit approval from the city to begin demolition work. Expecting a couple more approvals here to begin construction in the next couple months. And yeah, we're flying.
Yeah. And what does the completed project look like? So if you had to flash forward to opening day,
Yeah.
what is it? What does the facility look like? Walk us through it.
Yeah, I from the moment I got the idea, New York and Brooklyn in particular has all these like beautiful warehouses. They're all like just old brick, old metal. Most of them are in disarray, but they have like beautiful bones, you know? And so my idea was like I want to get a warehouse in Brooklyn and basically construct a whole bathhouse inside it. So you'll feel like you're in this warehouse space, kind of like reclaimed warehouse space. And so that's what we set out to do. The vision really evolved since then. And I wanted to bring in a Roman component to the idea. So the space, the business is called Reunion Baths, and it's about just like reuniting with these deep human traditions, reuniting with our friends, our communities, getting away from tech. And so we took in a Roman twist and did a little modern take on it. But when you walk in the door, you walk into like a very industrial style cafe. So it's like brick, exposed timber, concrete, a little bit brutalist, but it's cool. We kind of soften it up with some plants. And then we have this like big huge doorway with a lot of dark green marble on it, which is like kind of in the corner. And so it has some gravity, which like pulls you in just to, it catches your eye. So that doesn't totally fit in there. What's behind that doorway? And when you walk through this portal, you enter out into a open warehouse floor. We've built these really cool fluted columns, Roman style, up to the ceiling. We have this wafting fabric, which takes up the whole ceiling space. And then, yeah, one other thing I was like really intent on was that the sight lines were open. So I didn't want to make an underground cave. Most bathhouses in New York are like underground, they're very dark, they're kind of dungeony. And I wanted to go with a lighter palette and then open up the whole space so it's connected. So as soon as you walk in, it's a massive open lounge. There's furniture, people are hanging out, eating, drinking, playing board games. Some lockers on the left-hand side, and then there's a wall with all the amenities on it, which you can go enjoy different amenities and kind of do cycles of contrast therapy in that space. And then still connected, throw on a towel, come sit in the lounge. It's damp accessible. You can hang out and order food.
All right. Well, it sounds really cool, man. And what's kind of the timeline, or like what's your goal for, you signed the lease in June. Um, what's kind of standing in between, where you are now to it opening up.
Yeah, there's wrapping up design, finishing the fundraise, starting construction and opening. And these things are all interwoven and dependent on each other in one way or another. Like you can't, design has to be far enough along that you can get a general contractor to bid on the cost to build. Then you can go to the bank and get your construction price. There's a loan underwriting process. Then you can construct construction. But you have to have the lease signed because in New York, the real estate just moves too fast. So you have to lock it down. So we'll be starting, closing this round end of September, maybe mid-September. Securing the debt is kind of underway, and we have traction with banks, but the banks just take a while to do it. So I think we're looking at starting construction in November, December,
Okay.
and then planning for 10 to 12 months of construction,
Gotcha.
which is a very conservative number. That's like a big, like, I've made a lot of mistakes along the way and I've learned a lot. The two things I've made sure to do is just like have more money than you think you need and plan for it to be longer than it's going to take. So construction reasonably can be done in 6 months. 8 months is a good bet. I'm planning for 10 to 12 just to make sure we land on our feet. But once we're in the construction phase, then I kind of shift from, like heads down, getting the money and all design stuff to the community building portion where I'm hosting events at different bathhouses around New York City, building up the wait list, getting our first number of members, and spreading the word about the project.
Gotcha. Awesome, man. And what do you see? So like, so it sounds like by, January 28th, this should be open.
Yeah.
If you had to flash forward like 3 to 5 years down the road, like what do you kind of see, where do you see this going? Or like, what do you have like a moonshot goal
Definitely, yeah,
for
yeah,
this?
yeah, yeah. I have a lot of vision for it. I mean, what's important to me is like I think this stuff is awesome, man. Like it's funny. Academy grads, who's the audience for this, most of them like, yeah, showering in the communal showers at the academy was awesome. Like you play sports with your friends, you go take a shower together, you go to dinner together, and it's just like a family. It's a community. So people kind of get that. I think America needs this. America's so stressed out. Everyone's inhaling Instagram and TikTok. It's just not healthy. You go to a bathhouse, there's no screens allowed. You're just going to be there with other human beings. It's a place for intergenerational contact. So you have old people, young people. I think it's really healthy for young people to be in proximity to the older generation. Say, yeah, I'm getting older. There's no, we're not stopping that. The clock moves forward. Young people like to isolate themselves in pockets of young people only. So for all these reasons, I think it's so healthy. And I basically want to make sure that America doesn't take this really beautiful tradition and turn it into McDonald's.
Hmm.
Left unchecked, that's what could happen, right? You could start setting up a lot of like really cheap sauna things and just like dumping people in there. But again, just like sauna is not it. It's communal bathing. It's a culture of bathing is what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to build. And so I want to help shape what that becomes in America and have opinions on it, right? Like if it's a timed experience, I hate that. If you're selling sex or exclusivity, I think that's wrong, right? That's not actually getting to people in a way that's meaningful. Um, if people are there trying to flex their status, that's a mistake, right? These bathhouses are a place where there's no social class. Everyone's equal in the banya. Like it's a quote from the Russians.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and so I want to open like 6 to 10 locations all across, major cities in the US and each one better than the last. I think that's really doable. I already have like a vision for what the next one's going to look like and how we can improve it and all this stuff. But that's like vision number one. Vision number two is I get 6 to 10 of these running. We're doing great, making money. I'd love to pair it up with like ultra high net worth backer of some sort, come in and basically build like a Roman bath complex off the coast of Brooklyn,
Hmm.
Manhattan. And there's precedent for this. There's projects like this in New York City. There's a thing called the High Line, which was a big kind of public project. There's one called Little Island, where they built land off of the coast of Manhattan, and it was like a $300 million project. But I think in like 10 years from now, this stuff will be, popular enough and in the culture enough that a project like that makes sense. And so that's kind of vision number two.
Yeah. And what are your immediate challenges, obstacles, what help do you need from the community? So as, folks are listening to this, what connections are valuable for you?
Yeah.
Where might you be stuck where you can, use a hand? How can we help?
Right now, I'm like intensely focused on the capital raise. So we're looking for angels that can cut a 50K check. I'm flexible down to 25, but I really try and keep people at the 50K level. Um, the loan's moving along. We are considering bringing on an investor to help PG a portion of that. Wouldn't be unlimited, be a limited PG, but it just comes down to if the bank wants that or not. So interested in that as well. Um, and then once we are in construction, the aperture opens up to a lot of different stuff. Right now I'm starting to look at hiring operations people, look at hiring community building folks, marketing, and all that sort of stuff. So right now it's unfortunately like it is monies where people can plug in, but there's a lot more opportunity to help out and be involved once we are construction in a couple months here.
All right. And what's the best way for people to reach out and get in touch and learn more about Reunion Baths?
My email, so Matthew@reunionbaths.com. Yeah, it's the easiest way to hit me. I'm very responsive.
Sounds good. And then we'll put a link to your website and your LinkedIn profile as well in the show notes, so people after they listen can click on and connect with you, and help out. So great job today, Matt. Congrats on your first podcast.
Thanks,
And you're
Scott.
our first bathhouse business, so it's you're the first for us as well. So um,
Yeah, I'm excited. Probably more in the future, but we're ahead of the curve.
well, you did a great job today, man. And here's to a great finish to your project and an awesome, successful opening and a great finish to 2026.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right.